What is, what was, and what will be start here with the words, "In the beginning, there was zombie takeout." What's up? Welcome to episode 226 of Zombie Takeout,
Zombie Takeout.
the B-movie and cult movie podcast. I'm Uncle John.
And I'm Scotto.
And before we get to this week's movie, we actually didn't talk about this in the pre-show. I forgot to bring it up, but should we
Why
discuss
rehearse?
the recent Star Wars news?
Ah, no.
Two bits of information. We have a title, The Force Awakens. Eh.
It doesn't make any sense.
And in about a month, we'll have a teaser trailer.
If the Force is still with Luke, why is it, awakening now?
Well, what I'd heard, and this was on the rumor side, John Boyega's character is going to be the new Luke. He's going to be Luke in, New Hope.
Okay, he's gonna be the farm boy.
Yeah, effectively.
Yeah.
Also, the teaser, from what I understand, it's just going to be a re-recording of the Force theme, pictures of the cast members, and then a female voice at the end saying, "Wake up."
Oh, I get it. You know what? He always does this to me, the titles.
Mhm.
Like Return of the Jedi, of course. It wasn't years later that I oh, he was speaking of all the Jedi,
Yeah.
not Luke coming back.
Mhm.
Well, he's probably talking about the Force Awakening in one person.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's Boyega's character.
I was thinking on a massive scale,
Mhm.
quite the reverse of Jedi.
Yeah. And also, again, according to the rumors, Luke will be insanely powerful and not trust himself at all in the beginning of the movie and be kind of crazy.
Nice.
So maybe, he'll have to train Boyega's character and will come back to his, he'll learn to control his powers and who knows.
You think he's going to get those power converters, Tosh?
Yeah. I would love to see somebody work that in. I
I,
just want to see an animated short where 30 years later he finally picks up the power converters.
well, I'll call it now. He's gonna say, you know what? When I was a kid, I was so obsessed with the stupidest of things. I want to go to fucking Tashi, get some stupid power converters.
Ah.
And that was the most important thing in the world to me.
Mm. We haven't had any real Star Wars news aside from the rumors in a while, so I just wanted to get into that. So, without further ado, on to this week's movie, which is from 1986, Howard the Duck, finishing up our trilogy of hate. And of course, that brings us to the impromptu plot summary, sponsored by Interspecies Sexual Attention. Let's hope this is the only time I'll be able to say that.
And also brought to you by Joe Roma's Cajun Sushi, in case you thought the whole Asian fusion thing was just a fad. All right, so how to handle this? We're on in it's not a parallel universe, but it's
An alternate universe.
yeah, it's another universe, right? It's another universe where the animal that has evolved to be the dominant species is the duck
Although
instead
they
of
suggest it's another planet, not just a different universe, but that they're kind of wishy-washy about that.
well, right. It's the force that brought him back to our universe is very, very vague.
Mhm.
But you gather that it traveled a great distance at a really great speed, actually.
Yes, yes. But rolling back, he's from a planet where ducks evolved from other ducks.
Yes. Ducks, oh man, the week before vacation, huh? Yeah, of course, where the ducks have evolved into the dominant species from, right, the dominant species, the ducks have evolved into it. So they're sort of humanoid ducks, if you will. And they prepare you for it. They show you some pictures in the beginning before full on duck guy. And yeah, and what they show pretty much it is like our world,
Yeah.
only everything is a duck or fowl pun.
I was worried in that scene because I thought everything in the movie was going to be a bird pun.
Well, right, right. And but he's in his living room. He's ready to sit down for just a night of relaxation, when suddenly this beam opens up and drags him from one universe to another and then to ours. And he's left figuring out how he got here, how can he get back. He winds up in the life of this. What kind of musician would you say she is?
80s pop rock.
An 80s pop rock that plays very punk-like shows.
Yes, yes.
If you had the TV on mute, you'd be like, "Wow, it's a punk rock band." But
And then you turn it on and hear the Roland DX7, and no.
right, and then you get this, Thomas Dolby
Yeah.
Prince kind of thing going,
Hmm.
and Thomas Dolby doing Prince, pretty much.
Let me correct myself. Yamaha DX7. I
Okay,
lost my musician cred for a second.
so he gets in the middle of her world pretty much. They have some sort of inexplicable argument. They break up, they get back together.
Hmm.
He solves her problem with her crappy manager and music career, and she tries to get him back to his world by bringing him to what she thought was a scientist, but turned out to be just a lab assistant. But he knew the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, who is a really smart guy and has decided to play around with the beam that brought him here, getting himself zapped, unleashing a demon from yet another universe into him. And well, I guess we can't say it yet. They have a chase scene that goes on way too long, which I'm not even sure what the chase scene was really about, how there was a chase at all.
Well, they were just trying to get from the jail to the lab, I think.
Right, right. They were to get to the lab, to operate the laser, to get to stop Principal Rooney from getting more demons to come down, and to eventually send Howard back home. And hilarity ensues.
Now, I can't tell you how many times while prepping this episode for the last couple of days, I have been one letter off while typing Howard the Duck.
Well, there's two possibilities.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you which way it went, but yeah.
Does one involve an F or an I?
The I,
Oh,
every time.
I would have gone with the F.
If I was doing it intentionally, yes. But no, literally, accidentally, every time.
I seem to remember, and maybe the version I acquired just had this edited out, but I seem to remember them referring to Howard's
Really? I don't remember that at all.
anatomy, at least like at least in the scene where the two of them were pretty close to getting it on.
Uh-huh. Awkward interspecies sexual tension
Yeah.
ensues. I don't remember that, but again, it's been 25 years.
It has been a long time since I've seen this too, so I don't know. I could have sworn there was.
And I'm glad the whole thing didn't take place on Duck World because I couldn't take those costumes for long.
Well, right. Those were good in small doses.
Howard's
His
costume looked
costume-
a lot better than the other ducks.
I was gonna say Howard's costume was solid. Yeah.
Relatively.
Yeah.
And I did like the chaos of his arrival on Earth. He ends up in the bar and then gets thrown out and then in a dumpster, and it's kind of a Mad World kind of thing for
Yeah.
about 2 minutes. That's very entertaining.
Well, the problem with the beginning of the movie is first there's way too much music.
Well, yes, Thomas Dolby's involved. What do you expect?
I was worried this was going to be pretty much a musical
Uh-huh.
throughout. I mean, I was thinking I don't remember it being a musical,
Mhm.
but we've had like what in the first 15 minutes,
Yeah.
there's like at least 4 different songs.
Right. It was the mid '80s. That kind of thing was popular. Remember, Vision Quest and all of those movies that sold on the soundtrack. alone. That's all anybody cared about. They were going for that angle.
Yeah, but those actually had
Good songs, yes.
musicians people would buy. I mean, it had a Madonna song, Vision
Yes,
Quest,
and
that,
a Journey song, and yeah, and others had similar well-known artists. Danger Zone comes to mind.
oh, well,
Just to
yeah, that,
reference the movie I've surprisingly never seen.
Kenny Loggins, though, when you bought Kenny Loggins for the soundtrack,
Mhm.
you were pretty much going to get a solid soundtrack in the
Yeah, yeah.
80s. I
Mhm.
mean, you were going to get one that people would actually buy.
Mhm. And this was Leah Thompson singing Howard Thomas Dolby.
Right. So that uh
Mhm. But I was okay with that beginning. I liked the chaotic, arrival, and then he had to go and say he's a master of quack foo.
well, right.
That kind of gave me an idea where it was going.
I was relieved to see that they got away from the music numbers at that
Mhm.
point though.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the musical numbers, but it's just the whole um the symphonic sound that they were using, kind of like the loving theme kind of that they had, the orchestral part
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they repeated throughout the movie.
Hmm.
It was kind of ridiculous. They were going for a Back to the Future kind of feel.
Yes, very much.
It wasn't a ridiculousness in that they were being funny
Mhm.
ridiculousness. It was they were kind of emulating Back to the Future and the themes that, that score had,
Mhm.
which fit that movie.
Yeah,
Not so much this though.
because that was a Robert Zemeckis movie.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing that time. Although I did like the duck evolution bit. That was a
Oh,
nice touch.
following that logic, that I think you could have had a really great movie
Oh yeah,
on your hands here.
it has its moments. Unfortunately, it just got very 80s after those moments. Incidentally, the screenplay was originally intended to be animated, but it became live action due to contractual obligations.
Interesting. I don't know if this would have worked animated.
Well, it's based on a comic book,
Yeah.
so I think it would have worked a bit better animated. They changed it drastically from the book. I don't know that he comes to Earth in the book. I'm not sure. I've never read it, but he is much nicer in the movie than he is in the comic book. He's kind of an asshole in the
Oh,
book.
okay.
He's
I mean, you can kind of see him being a bit of a dick in this,
yeah,
but not enough.
right.
He did. He needed to be more of a jerk. It's like the first thing to really change in this movie, if we were going on to remakes already, which we're not,
No, we'll get to it.
but I would have had Gilbert Godfrey do the voice.
Yes, yes. And also the storyline is a bit different, and just the general tone. The book I've heard described as absurdist and satirical, which sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
And the creator Steve Gerber has said it's an existential joke, stating this is no joke. The most idiotic things in your life and the most amazing things are only differentiated by a momentary point of view. That's kind of the idea of the book. It
Okay.
kind of parodies, life in general. I think it parodies a lot of the Marvel universe too.
Something like that would have been pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I would love to. Well, we'll get to sequels and remakes later.
And I mean, the other thing is, why did Howard have to be short?
I think maybe trying to appeal to kids, or trying to make him look a little less frightening. Because if you think about a 6 foot duck, would have been a little weird, a
Yeah,
little intimidating, I should
humanoid
say.
duck is weird in the first
Well,
place
yeah,
anyway.
weird wasn't the right word.
And
A little too
and
intimidating.
the whole point though is that people were frightened of him in this.
This is true. This is true.
The scenes on the bus and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
He honestly,
In the book, I think he's short too, so that's why they went that way.
to sum this up, really, this was like they gave Jar Jar Binks a movie of his own.
I don't think he was quite that annoying, but there are similarities.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities. But no, you're right. He isn't as annoying. He didn't have the accent or the baby talk.
And I think some of the side characters are way more annoying, like the club owners and the original manager.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah.
way too arch and obviously, evil. And he's gonna, you knew what was gonna happen at the beginning of that scene before anything went down.
That's the other problem with this is pretty much exactly
Yeah,
where it's all going before
yeah.
it goes there.
Although
Which
I did like that they didn't involve her bandmates as like, her backup, you know, in the action scenes. They just stayed in a
yes,
couple of scenes where they, were just her band.
right. And considering this is closing the trilogy, the one thing the other both of the other movies we've had that this did not have was that you did not know where the other two were going.
True, true.
Yeah, there were always. I mean, the first one had some predictable skits.
Movie 43, you knew basically what it was. You didn't know where each skit was going to go, obviously, but you
Well,
knew,
sometimes they had some zingers in there
yeah, yeah,
that some left
this
turns.
is true. And Freddy Got Fingered is all left turns.
Yes, yes, it is just a constant left turn. But this, I mean, the chase scene was pointless because you knew how it was going to end, which is
Mhm.
kind of reminded me of the pod race in Phantom Menace. You
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, it went on forever, and you kind of knew where it was going to go anyway.
And the whole Dark Overlord thing was just horribly crowbarred in. That isn't from the book, by the way. They came up with that for the movie.
Okay, and it wasn't Rooney scary enough, I think.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
to to quote Tom Green, he's a molester. He's a child molester.
Also, the ultralight was awfully convenient.
And once he figured out how to use it, why didn't he go higher?
Yeah, yeah, true.
It was kind of ridiculous that they were just hovering over the ground and not just flying back to the lab.
Although I gotta say, outside of the duck suits, the effects were amazing for '86.
Ah, I don't know about that.
A lot of the explosions and a lot of, I mean,
Well,
a
yeah,
lot
the
of the pyro stuff was
explosions,
great.
fine.
The
Okay,
blue glow on the Dark Overlord was a little iffy. The duck suits I've talked about.
all of the effects for the Dark Overlord
Yeah,
were iffy. Being generous, you could say
yeah.
they're iffy, some of those.
His final form was very claymation.
And oh my God, right. It's like uh, in my notes I had something about the Clash of the Titans
Yeah,
monster.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, someday this George Lucas guy is gonna get special effects right. I don't know when. Seriously, if you didn't know anything and you saw this movie and Return of the Jedi, you would assume Return of the Jedi was done after this one. Why did they cut corners on those special effects?
Well, apparently, and I don't know if this was part of it, but according to reports at the time of the movie's release, Lucas was heavily in debt, having just built Skywalker Ranch, and he was counting on the film to get him back in the black.
Ooh.
When it bombed, he was forced to start selling off assets to stay afloat. His friend Steve Jobs from Apple offered to help him out by buying the newly launched CGI animation division from Lucasfilms for a very low price. This is what led to Pixar.
Nice.
Jobs bought Lucas's CGI department and formed Pixar. So if nothing else, this movie created Pixar.
All right. And maybe this would have been a pretty cool Pixar movie now that you think about it.
Yeah, yeah. Also, Tori Amos auditioned for Beverly, Leah Thompson's part.
Interesting.
I
Because,
don't see her in the role at all. I
well,
mean, I know
Tori,
she fronted a hair metal band before she got famous, but
and she also like did commercials,
and that's true.
like, just jingles.
Hmm. Oh, I have to call out a continuity issue in the
Just one.
scene. Well, one that I noticed probably because I'm a guitarist. In the scene when he walks into the dressing room, when they reconcile, and she says "Hiya, Ducky." When the camera's on her when she's saying that line, the guitar falls over.
Oh, wow, really?
And obviously next time you see her, it's sitting, right there.
Hmm.
I had to watch it 3 times to make sure I was seeing what I thought I was, because it's just an instinctual thing. I see a guitar start to
You don't let
fall.
the guitar
I,
fall,
I
right?
want to I want to reach through the screen and grab it.
Of course.
It was a beautiful black SG Junior. I just wanted to keep it from falling, and I couldn't, obviously.
I
So,
thought you were going to nitpick their obvious guitar playing skills.
well, actually, from what I understand, Leah Thompson actually does play. She said that she still has the Les Paul she used in the final song, and she does play it occasionally. And it looks like she does play. I mean, she wasn't actually playing the parts
Of
in the
course
movie.
not.
Yeah, I can tell from her hands she does play. The bass player looks like she knows what she's doing. I wasn't paying attention to the keyboardist or drummer, but I don't know enough about those instruments to really be able to tell. Also, the keyboardist was Holly Robinson from 21 Jump Street.
Well, I would say the best of the bunch performance-wise out of this, and I didn't even remember him being in this movie.
Tim Robbins.
Tim Robbins.
I completely forgot he was in this too. A lot of his early stuff I tend to forget about.
I don't think I really was aware of him
Nobody
until
was until Shawshank.
well, I'd go like Cadillac Man
Okay.
before him.
All right. I wasn't aware of him until Shawshank, so I tend to forget that he was in things before then.
Yeah, Cadillac Man was about 3 years after this, so
Okay.
I had no idea he went back this far.
By the way, although there had been several TV adaptations of Marvel characters during the preceding 21 years, this was the first attempt at a theatrical release since the Captain America serial in 44.
No shit.
They didn't attempt a movie from 44 to 86. And look what they've done in the preceding 30 years since Howard the Duck.
Man, it's hard to believe that this is, the beginning of the onslaught of comic book movies that we have today.
Well, actually, it kind of was. I mean, a lot of people go back to Batman for that, the
Yeah,
Burton Batman.
yeah.
But this was a little bit before then, and only a few years. I mean, this failed. This made less than $1 million above its budget.
Oh,
So,
of course. I mean, and this was a large budgeted movie, very
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
I mean, you could
Lucas
just
was
tell by
involved.
the things they blew up,
Right.
which honestly, if they had saved some money by not blowing up as many cars that they didn't need to blow up and actually put it into the special effects towards the end, I think they would have been working with something a lot better here.
Perhaps, perhaps. I think it was a little flawed to begin with. I'm being a little overly critical. I actually do like the movie. It's one of the few that we've reviewed that holds up to my memory. Because back in the day, I liked it, didn't love it. This time, I liked it, didn't love it.
Well, that and like the storytelling just need to be tightened up a bit more. I think like the chase just went on for too long. Really, I think, and just some of the dialogue in places was just a bit too,
Cringeworthy.
punny. Yeah,
Hmm.
like when they went like the hard-boiled egg.
I actually kind of liked the egg gag when within the restaurant when they give him the eggs and he freaks out.
That's not the. I mean, that I didn't mind. I like that.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about
Oh,
like,
the hard-boiled. Yeah. Oh God,
yeah,
yes.
something like you
I
had a
think I
hard-boiled
repressed that.
egg, and then they do like of all the alleys, I had to
Uh-huh.
fall into kind of thing. Humphrey Bogart.
And I like puns. I'm the one who posts the episodes on Facebook and makes those horrible puns. I'm not adverse to puns, but these were just below my standards.
Well, I fancy myself a connoisseur of puns,
Mm,
and there's the good pun and the bad pun. That they were just kind of shoehorning as many puns as they
right.
could think of in there, and it was obvious.
Mm,
And if you're going to do that, you have to deliver them in a different way. You have to deliver them that you know what you're saying is terrible
mm,
and,
yeah.
and really hit them home.
Right.
They were just delivering them like it was regular dialogue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, also two Wilhelm screams in the movie. When what Jennings sends the man through the window with his energy bolts, he lands on a car. There's a Wilhelm. I didn't notice that one, but when Howard knocks the duck hunter out of the boat and screams "Bonsai," that one I did catch.
Oh, okay.
I did catch that one. I got to give it a little credit for having two Wilhelms.
What I was noticing with the director of this, see, where Lucas got in trouble, and this pretty much ended this guy's career, if you
Uh-huh.
really look at his IMDb. And honestly, he should not have been given this chance.
This almost ended a few people's careers. Most of the stars didn't get work for a while afterwards.
But it's interesting. This is the same guy that wrote American Graffiti.
Okay.
So, he was a friend of Lucas's, obviously, from the early days. I mean, he did Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Wow.
Before this, though, between Indiana Jones and this,
Mm.
he did a movie called Best Defense,
Sounds vaguely familiar, but I haven't seen it.
which I think if we do like another shit trilogy,
Okay. We will be
could
doing another shit trilogy.
really make it. It's Eddie Murphy's first bomb.
Oh God.
In fact, he famously joked on Saturday Night Live about like, him telling people to, get the fuck away when they gave him the script and, he wouldn't do something that bad. And then turning and said, wait a minute, how much are you going to pay me to do this?
Well, we do have Nash Bridges on the list, or not Nash Bridges, Pluto Nash on the
Yes.
list. So maybe if we can come up with one more, we'll have an Eddie Murphy trilogy.
Until he started doing Disney stuff. It was pretty much, oh yeah, until Pluto Nash, actually. It was known as his, the worst movie he had done. And it was him and Dudley Moore. So really, this guy's career was pretty much almost killed from that. And Lucas gave him this to come back with. And yeah, yeah. Like Radioland Murders and a couple TV movies since, and that's it.
All right, on to sequels and remakes.
On to sequels and remakes.
Now that Disney has, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would like to see them take another shot, but be more faithful to the book. Just be, dark and sarcastic and weird. They've already worked him into Guardians. It's an Easter egg. He's in a cage in one scene.
Oh yeah.
But I would like to see them take a real shot at doing a proper adaptation, and I kind of think it would work animated.
Pixar, I could see. I mean, because you have that element of realism to a Pixar movie.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm thinking like classic 2D, but Pixar would be very interesting.
Right. Well, I wasn't like the George Costanza thing, or I mean, Jason Alexander thing, Duckman, was it?
That was 2D animation.
Right. I mean, wasn't that more in the vein of what this should have been?
Probably.
Except it wasn't science fiction at all.
Yeah. I suspect Duckman was very influenced by Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot they could have done with this though.
Okay, yeah. And I would like to see them, now that Disney has control of Marvel, take another shot at it and really fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this deserves a remake.
All right, on to Brains.
On to Brains.
Like I said, I remember liking it, not loving it, and it holds up perfectly well. I liked it, didn't love it. I'm going 3.
I was bored through a lot of it. I I think one of my favorite parts though was when they were on the glider and Tim Robbins was R2D2.
Yeah.
I mean, if you notice, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff throughout this whole damn movie, actually, intentionally or not. Because I think even
probably intentional.
I think the Overlords were used. They were a shitty version of the creatures used in Attack of the Clones.
Okay, yeah.
In like the gladiator scene.
Right.
I only think they had like crab claws. But yeah, this needed some work. I'm going 2.
All right, and what have we learned?
If I had some place to go, it wouldn't be Cleveland.
And I learned that hostility is like a psychic boomerang. All right, so until 3 weeks from now, we're taking 2 weeks off. Next week is Thanksgiving here in the U.S., and the following week you have stuff to do. I have stuff to do, so we're taking 2 weeks off. Until 3 weeks from now when we're reviewing Split, it's a request from Danny Meeks. I've never seen it, you've never seen it, but it looks very interesting, kind of a very 80s sci-fi thing. Until then, go to zombietakeout.com, check out the album art, the episode description, of course, the episode itself, which you're already listening to. Links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. Links to subscribe via RSS and iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. You also find the movie list, every movie we've reviewed so far, and every movie we're going to review, up through the beginning of the year. We've got the Resident Evil trilogy, and we've just decided to do Donnie Darko after the Resident Evil trilogy. Surprisingly, that wasn't on the list. We overlooked that one for some reason.
I thought it was. I'm surprised it wasn't.
I did a Control F, a search on the list, and typed in Darko, and actually typed in Dark, and 2 movies came up, and neither of them were Donnie Darko.
The list is just that unwieldy now.
You also find the request form. If you've got a movie you'd like to hear us review, please leave it on the request form, and of course the recommendations list. This never had a chance. I mean, as generous as I'm being, no. There was no way this was going there. You can also email us zombietakeout@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 414-368-ZTO1 or for the alphanumerically challenged.
You can go duck yourself.
Nice.
Thank you.
414-368-9861. Of course, always remember that you'll always be calling from the middle of Milwaukee, and until next time, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you
are.
Every duck's got his limit, and you scum have pushed me over the line.
in the book. I'm not sure. I've never read it, but he is much nicer, and it does. Well, he is much nicer in the movie